I took my wife's phone to call a client and accidentally saw her correspondence with my son-in-law. When I read the messages about their plans, I couldn't believe my eyes. 37 years of marriage, trust, and family happiness. It was all a lie. Then I realized that I wouldn't let it go and started planning. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The charger cord lay tangled on the floor like a dead snake. My hands shook as I searched through every drawer, every pocket, knowing that on 15 minutes, the biggest deal of my career would slip away. "Morris, what's wrong?" Martha appeared in the doorway, dish towel in hand. "Phone's dead. Can't find the charger anywhere." I grabbed cushions from the couch, tossing them aside. "Johnson's calling at 8 sharp about the Madison Avenue property." Without hesitation, she handed me her phone. "Use mine, honey. Password's your birthday." Relief flooded through me. After 37 years of marriage, Martha still saved the day. "You're a lifesaver." She kissed my cheek and headed toward the kitchen. "I'll finish dinner while you handle business." The phone felt warm in my palm. Face recognition unlocked it instantly. I dialed Johnson's number, then froze. A notification had just appeared at the top of the screen. "Dylan, 7:32 p.m. He'll never find out. Documents almost ready." My son-in-law's name stared back at me. The message preview showed just enough to make my stomach clench. I should scroll past it. Respect privacy. Make the call. Instead, I tapped the message. The conversation thread opened like a wound. 3 days of exchanges between my wife and my daughter's husband. My eyes scanned downward, each message a knife twist. "Martha, Monday, 3:15 p.m. Are you sure about this? What if Morris suspects something?" "Dylan, Monday, 3:18 p.m. Trust me, I've handled dozens of these cases. He won't see it coming." "Martha, Monday, 8:22 p.m. The timing has to be perfect, after the Madison deal closes." "Dylan, Tuesday, 11:45 a.m. 60-40 split, just like we discussed. You get the house, retirement accounts. I get my fee, plus the business assets through Ruby." "Martha, Tuesday, 2:13 p.m. Ruby doesn't know anything." "Dylan, Tuesday, 2:15 p.m. Nothing. She thinks I'm working late on a corporate merger." "Martha, today, 4:30 p.m. I feel terrible lying to her." "Dylan, today, 4:33 p.m. It's better this way. Clean break. No messy emotions." "Martha, today, 7:28 p.m. When do I file?" "Dylan, today, 7:31 p.m. End of month. I'll have everything ready." The phone trembled in my grip. 37 years of marriage. 37 years of building a life together, raising Ruby, creating something meaningful. And she was plotting with our son-in-law to destroy it all. Footsteps echoed from the kitchen. Martha returning. I closed the message thread with fumbling fingers, my heart hammering against my ribs. The screen returned to the home page just as she rounded the corner. "How's it going? Did you reach him?" I stared at her face. Same green eyes I'd fallen in love with in college. Same smile that had comforted me through my father's death. Celebrated every business success. Kissed our daughter goodnight for 18 years. "Not yet." My voice sounded normal somehow. "Just dialing now." Johnson's voice crackled through the speaker. "Morris, been waiting for your call. Madison Avenue. Are we moving forward?" My wife bustled around the kitchen, the picture of domestic contentment. How many times had I watched this exact scene? Martha preparing dinner while I handled business. The foundation of our life together. "Absolutely," I managed. "Terms look good. We'll close within 30 days. "Excellent. My client's eager to finalize. Papers should be ready by Friday." Every word felt like speaking underwater. The conversation about property transfers and closing dates took on sinister new meaning. Martha wanted to wait until after this deal closed. Smart move. Maximize the assets before the divorce filing. Perfect. I'll have my attorney review everything. The irony wasn't lost on me. The attorney I'd need would be fighting against my own son-in-law. "Talk Friday, then. Good doing business, Morris." I ended the call and handed the phone back to Martha. "Thank you, honey. Really saved me there." She squeezed my shoulder. "You look pale. Everything all right?" "Just tired. Lot of work lately." The lie came easily. 37 years of marriage had taught me to read her expressions, but apparently I'd missed the most important ones. We moved to the dining room. Martha had set the table with our good china, wedding gift from her mother. Crystal glasses caught the chandelier light. Everything perfect, beautiful, false. "So how was your day?" I asked, cutting into the roast beef. "Quiet. Did some shopping. Called my sister." Another lie. I found myself studying her face, searching for tells I'd missed before. The slight pause before mentioning her sister. The way she wouldn't quite meet my eyes when discussing her afternoon. How many times had she lied about visiting her sister? Those weekend trips that became more frequent last month. The yoga classes that ended late with no exercise glow. New jewelry from clearance sales that looked expensive to my trained eye. "Ruby called this afternoon," Martha continued. "Says Dylan's working on some big corporate case. Long hours." My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. "Really? What kind of case?" She didn't say. You know how secretive lawyers can be about client confidentiality. I nodded, playing the understanding father-in-law while fury built in my chest. Dylan wasn't working on a corporate case. He was orchestrating the destruction of my family, using my own daughter as cover. Martha reached across the table and touched my hand. "You're quiet tonight?" Her wedding ring caught the light. Same ring I'd placed on her finger in 1908. We'd promised to love, honor, cherish, till death do us part, not till greed do us part. "Just thinking about the Madison deal," I said. "Big opportunity. I'm proud of you. 63 years old and still making the biggest deals of your career." The praise felt like acid. She was proud of my success because it meant more money for her to steal. Later that night, I lay in bed listening to Martha's steady breathing beside me. 37 years of sharing this bed, this room, this life. In the darkness, pieces clicked together. Cold kisses that had become dutiful pecks. Phone calls that ended when I entered the room. New interest in our financial documents and retirement planning. The signs had been there. I'd been too trusting, too focused on work, too comfortable in my assumptions. But now I knew, and I needed an ally. 2 weeks of sleepless nights had given me time to plan. The Central Park Caf sat half empty on a Wednesday afternoon, lunch crowd mostly gone. I'd chosen a corner booth, back to the wall, clear view of the entrance. Ruby pushed through the door at exactly 1 o'clock, her teacher's punctuality showing. She spotted me immediately and smiled, the same bright expression she'd worn as a little girl. "Dad, so good to see you." She slid into the booth across from me. "Been too long since Justice had lunch." "Too long," I agreed, trying to match her enthusiasm while my stomach churned. The waitress took our orders. Ruby chattered about her students, a difficult parent conference, winter break plans, normal daughter conversation. I let her talk, studying her face for any sign she knew about Dylan's betrayal. Nothing. Complete innocence. "Ruby, has Dylan been acting differently lately?" Her fork paused over her salad. "Differently how?" "Working late more often? Secretive about cases?" "He's working on something big. Says it's corporate stuff. Very confidential." She shrugged. "You know how lawyers are about client privilege." The same story Martha had fed me. My son-in-law was thorough. I'd give him that. "Sweetheart, what I'm about to tell you will change everything." I pulled out my phone. "I need you to trust me completely." Her smile faded. "Dad, you're scaring me." "That night I borrowed Mom's phone for the Johnson call, I saw something I wasn't supposed to see." I showed her Dylan's messages, watched her face transform from confusion to disbelief to something harder. "This can't be real." Her voice barely whispered. "Mom would never... And Dylan..." "I know it's hard to accept." Ruby's hands shook as she reread the conversation. 60-40 split? Business assets through me?" Her teacher's mind was processing fast. "They're using me. Dylan's been planning to steal from you while I cooked his dinner and believed his lies. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I know how much you trusted him. All those late nights, all those confidential cases." Anger crept into her voice. "He's been planning to steal from you while I cooked his dinner and believed his lies. The question is, what do we do about it?" Ruby looked up from the phone, and I saw steel in her expression I'd never noticed before. "We stop them. It won't be easy. Dylan knows the law. Mom's been planning this for months. Then we plan better." She leaned forward. "What do you need me to do?" "Observe Dylan without letting him know you've discovered anything. Document what you can. I need evidence beyond these messages. What about Mom? I'll handle your mother. But Ruby, this has to stay between us. No one else can know. She nodded firmly. When do we start? You started the moment you believed me instead of defending them. Ruby reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I'm sorry, Dad. For what they're doing. For what Dylan... Her voice caught. I married him because I thought he was honorable. You couldn't have known. They fooled both of us. Not anymore. She straightened her shoulders. What's our timeline? They plan to file at the end of the month. That gives us 2 weeks to gather evidence and prepare. 2 weeks to save your business and show them exactly who they're dealing with. I smiled at my daughter, feeling genuine warmth for the first time since that terrible night. Ruby, I need you to know something. Whatever happens between your mother and me, you're the best thing I ever accomplished. Tears sparked in her eyes, but her voice stayed steady. We're going to win, Dad. They picked the wrong family to betray. She left first, teacher duties calling. I watched her walk away, straight-backed and determined. My little girl had grown into a formidable woman. Now I needed to find out just how deep this betrayal went. 1 week later, I sat in the sterile office of Chen Investigations, business cards scattered across Thomas Chen's mahogany desk. The private investigator studied my case notes with professional detachment. Infidelity investigations require patience, Mr. Burke. Chen's fingers tapped against a manila folder. Your wife appears confident in her deception. That usually makes them careless. I need photographic evidence, complete documentation. I leaned forward. Money is no object. Understood. Based on these credit card statements, she favors Manhattan locations. The Plaza Hotel appears frequently. My stomach clenched. How frequently? Twice weekly for the past 2 months, always Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. I'd been reviewing property acquisition reports during those times, completely oblivious. What else? Chen pulled out expense breakdowns, luxury spa treatments, jewelry purchases, restaurant charges for 2 at intimate venues. He paused. Mr. Burke, are you prepared for what we might discover? I'm prepared to protect what I've built. 3 days of surveillance confirmed my worst fears. Chen's photographs arrived via secure email. Martha entering the plaza with a younger man, their hands intertwined. The fitness instructor from her yoga studio, 6'2", perfectly muscled, half her age, Mike Rodriguez. I researched him obsessively. 28 years old, worked at an upscale Manhattan fitness club, drove a BMW Martha had probably financed with my credit cards. My phone buzzed. Ruby, reporting from Dylan's office. Dad, I brought him lunch and saw the filing documents. Her voice trembled slightly. Property division papers show they're planning to take everything except the house, the business, retirement accounts, even your car collection. Anything else? Timeline notes in Dylan's handwriting. They're filing March 30th, right after your Madison Avenue deal closes. Brilliant strategy. Wait until my net worth peaked, then strike for maximum damage. Ruby, be careful. Don't let him suspect anything. Too late to worry about that. I already hate him. 4 more days of documentation. Chen's team captured Martha and Mike at romantic dinners, weekend getaways to Connecticut, shopping excursions where she bought him expensive gifts with my money. The paper trail showed $3,000 monthly in unexplained expenses, all financing her affair. I spread the photographs across my office desk like a war council planning battle strategies. Martha laughing with her lover, kissing him outside Tiffany's, entering hotel rooms hand in hand. 37 years of marriage reduced to evidence folders. My secretary knocked. Mr. Burke? Your wife called. She'll be late tonight. Another yoga session. Thank you, Helen. Yoga session. I almost laughed at the absurdity. Martha was probably planning her next hotel rendezvous while I sat here cataloging her betrayals. But knowledge was power, and power was what I'd need to destroy them both. Chen delivered the final surveillance report personally. Everything you requested, Mr. Burke. Timestamps, locations, financial documentation. Your attorney will have everything needed for court. I locked the evidence in my office safe and called Ruby. Time for another meeting. Central Park, same place. What did you find? More than I bargained for. Sunday afternoon brought gray March clouds and the weight of secrets. I reached the park bench 15 minutes early, manila folders tucked beneath my coat. Ruby appeared across the lawn, walking with purpose, her teacher's bag slung over her shoulder. Dad. She embraced me, and I felt her tension. This feels like planning a war, because that's exactly what we're doing. We settled on the bench. Families strolled past. Children laughing, couples holding hands. Normal people living honest lives, unaware that two relatives were orchestrating the destruction of their own family. What did you discover about Dylan? I asked. Ruby opened her bag and withdrew photocopied documents. Complete asset division plan. He's calculated everything down to your office furniture. Her voice carried barely controlled anger. They're giving you the house and one car. Everything else gets split between Mom and Dylan's legal fees. I examined the papers. 37 years of building wealth, reduced to line items in my son-in-law's handwriting, business property, investment accounts, even Martha's jewelry, all marked for redistribution. There's more. Ruby pointed to annotations in Dylan's precise script. Timeline notes show they've been planning this for 6 months, long before you found those text messages. 6 months. While I'd been proud of Dylan's success, grateful for his legal advice, he'd been systematically planning my financial destruction. Ruby, what I'm about to show you concerns your mother. I hesitated. This will hurt. After seeing Dylan's betrayal, I can handle anything. I handed her Chen's surveillance photographs, watched my daughter's face transform as she processed images of her mother with another man. The hotel entrances, intimate dinners, shopping expeditions. Ruby's hands shook. Who is he? Mike Rodriguez, fitness instructor from her supposed yoga studio. She's been lying about everything. Ruby stared at a photograph of Martha kissing her lover outside Cartier. Lying to you, to me, to everyone. For months, while planning to take half our assets to start a new life with him. Ruby set the photographs down carefully. Dad, I need to tell you something about my marriage to Dylan. What is it? It's over. After seeing his greed, his willingness to betray you, his lies to me. She straightened her shoulders. I can't stay married to someone capable of this. Pride mixed with concern. Are you certain? Divorce isn't easy. Neither is living with someone who treats family like opponents to be defeated. Ruby gathered Dylan's documents. Besides, we have more important things to focus on. Such as? Destroying them before they destroy you. We spent an hour coordinating strategy. Ruby would continue gathering intelligence while appearing normal. I would document additional financial evidence and prepare legal counterattacks. There's one more thing, I said. I want to confront them both. Together. Let them know exactly what we've discovered. When? Family dinner this weekend. I'll invite Dylan and tell Martha I want to discuss family finances. I smiled grimly. They'll think it's the perfect opportunity to manipulate me further. Ruby laughed, a sound I hadn't heard in weeks. They have no idea what's coming. None whatsoever. She stood first, gathering her evidence. Dad, after this is over, after we've won, what happens to our family? We'll build something better, something honest. I watched Ruby walk away, her stride confident and determined. My daughter had discovered strength she'd never known she possessed, and next weekend, Martha and Dylan would discover exactly how dangerous that strength could be. Wednesday evening found me in our kitchen, surrounded by credit card statements and financial records. Martha hummed while preparing dinner, completely relaxed, unaware that I'd spent the day reviewing evidence of her betrayals. Martha, I've been looking at our expenses. I held up receipts from luxury spas and jewelry stores. Some of these charges seem unusually high. She glanced over from the stove, spatula in hand. High how? 3,000 monthly at Manhattan spas? 500 at Tiffany's last week alone? Her expression shifted subtly, still pleasant but more guarded. Honey, I'm just taking care of myself. Is that wrong somehow? I'm not saying it's wrong. I kept my tone reasonable, confused rather than accusatory. But shouldn't we discuss expenses this large beforehand? Martha turned fully toward me, abandoning dinner preparation. Morris, you're making me feel like I need permission to spend money. After 37 years of marriage, don't I deserve nice things? Perfect manipulation. Turn financial irresponsibility into relationship criticism. Make me the villain for asking questions. Of course you deserve nice things. I backtracked slightly, playing the role of apologetic husband. I'm just trying to understand our budget better. You've never worried about money before. She moved closer, touching my shoulder. Are we having financial problems? Should I be concerned? Another deflection. Now she was the worried wife, selflessly concerned about family security. I had to admire her technique, completely shameless, but expertly executed. No financial problems. The Madison deal alone will bring in $2 million. I watched her eyes light up at the figure. I suppose I'm just being overly cautious. You work too hard, that's the problem. Martha kissed my cheek. Maybe I should cut back on spa treatments. We could both use more time together. Brilliant recovery. Sacrifice the small expenses to avoid scrutiny, while positioning herself as the devoted wife willing to make compromises. Don't cut back on anything. I gathered the receipts, pretending to accept her explanations. You're right. After all these years, you've earned the right to pamper yourself. Thank you for understanding. She returned to cooking, crisis apparently resolved. Sometimes I think you forget I'm not just a housewife. I have needs, desires, dreams of my own. Dreams like stealing my business assets to finance a new life with her 28-year-old lover. But I nodded sympathetically. You're absolutely right. I get so focused on work, I forget about everything else. Martha beamed, clearly believing she'd successfully managed the situation. That's why I love you, Morris. You always listen to reason. I watched her finish preparing dinner, noting how easily she'd lied, how smoothly she'd manipulated the conversation. 37 years of marriage, and I was finally seeing the real Martha Burke, the woman who could look me in the eye while planning my destruction. But next weekend, I had a special family dinner planned, and Martha was about to discover that her performance hadn't been quite as convincing as she'd believed. 3 weeks had passed since our kitchen confrontation. I'd spent the time finalizing evidence and coordinating with Ruby. This Friday morning, I entered our bedroom carrying Martha's favorite coffee, French roast with cream, the way she'd enjoyed it for decades. Honey, I brought your favorite. I set the mug on her nightstand. About last week's argument, I was being unreasonable. Martha's eyes opened, instantly alert. Morris, you're so sweet. I didn't want us fighting over money. Neither did I. I sat on the bed's edge, playing the role of apologetic husband. You're right. After all these years, you deserve to enjoy yourself. She smiled, that same charming expression I'd fallen for in college. I appreciate you saying that. Actually, I've been thinking. I sipped my own coffee, letting the idea develop naturally. We should do something special this weekend. Have Ruby and Dylan over for dinner, like old times. Martha's face brightened immediately. What a wonderful idea. It's been months since we had a proper family gathering. Saturday evening work for you? Perfect. I'll make Dylan's favorite. That roasted chicken with herbs he always raves about. I kissed her forehead, tasting the bitter irony. You're the best wife a man could ask for. After Martha headed to the bathroom for her morning routine, I called Ruby from my study. Sweetheart, dinner tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Are you ready for this? Ruby's voice carried nervous determination. As ready as I'll ever be. Do you have everything we need? Complete documentation, photos, financial records, Dylan's legal papers, everything. And Mom still doesn't suspect anything? She thinks she's won our little financial disagreement, completely confident. What about Dylan? That's my next call. He'll be thrilled to come. 20 minutes later, I dialed my son-in-law's office number. Dylan, good to hear your voice, son. Morris, great timing. I was just thinking about calling you. Really? About what? Oh, just checking in. You seem more relaxed lately, less stressed about business matters. Interesting observation. Dylan had noticed my improved mood since gathering evidence of his betrayal. Martha's right. I work too hard sometimes. Speaking of which, how about joining us for dinner tomorrow? Martha's making your favorite chicken. Sounds fantastic. Ruby and I would love to come. Excellent. 7 o'clock. And Dylan? Bring your appetite. Martha's planning something special. Wouldn't miss it. Thanks for thinking of us. I hung up and leaned back in my leather chair, surveying the evidence folders locked in my desk drawer. Photographs of Martha's affair, financial documentation of her deception, Dylan's conspiracy papers photographed by Ruby. Tomorrow night, my family would finally learn the price of betrayal. Saturday evening arrived with unseasonable warmth for April. I arranged wine glasses while Martha put finishing touches on the formal table setting, our wedding china, crystal stemware, everything perfect for what she believed was a celebratory family dinner. Morris, does this look right? Martha adjusted the centerpiece, white roses from our garden. I want everything beautiful for the children. Absolutely perfect. I opened a bottle of our best Cabernet. This calls for celebration. The doorbell chimed at exactly 7 o'clock. Ruby's punctuality, inherited from me. They're here. Martha practically bounced toward the entrance, genuinely excited about hosting family. I followed, watching my daughter embrace her mother while Dylan shook my hand with characteristic confidence. Both looked relaxed, unsuspecting, Ruby performing her role flawlessly. Something smells incredible, Dylan said, loosening his tie. Martha, you've outdone yourself again. Just your favorite chicken with those herbs you love. Martha beamed under the praise. Come, let's sit. Morris opened our best wine. We settled around the dining table, warm light casting false intimacy over the scene. Martha served generous portions while I played gracious host, filling wine glasses and proposing toasts. To family, I raised my glass. To the bonds that hold us together. To family, everyone echoed, crystal chiming against crystal. Dylan cut into his chicken enthusiastically. Martha, this is restaurant quality. You should start a catering business. Oh, you flatter me too much. No, I'm serious. You have real talent for hospitality. Ruby smiled at her mother, then caught my eye across the table. The slightest nod. She was ready. So, Dylan, how are things at the firm? I asked casually. Many interesting cases lately. Busy season, definitely. Lots of family law work coming in. He paused to sip wine. People getting divorced, asset divisions, that sort of thing. Must be challenging work. All those emotional situations. You learn to stay objective. Focus on the legal aspects rather than personal drama. Martha nodded approvingly. Dylan's so professional. Always puts clients first. Family comes first for me, Dylan corrected, reaching for Ruby's hand. Everything I do is about building our future together. Ruby's smile remained perfectly in place, though I noticed her grip tighten on her wine glass. More wine, anyone? I stood, refilling glasses around the table. We're celebrating tonight. No reason to hold back. What exactly are we celebrating? Martha asked. Family loyalty, I said, settling back into my chair. Trust. The things that really matter in life. Dylan raised his glass again, to loyalty and trust. We drank, and I excused myself from the table. I'll get dessert ready. Instead of heading to the kitchen, I walked to my study and retrieved the evidence folders from my desk drawer. 5 manila envelopes, each labeled and organized. The complete documentation of betrayal. Time to serve the real dessert. I returned to the dining room, carrying folders instead of dessert plates. Martha looked up with confusion as I placed one envelope in front of each person, keeping 2 for myself. What's this, Morris? Martha's voice carried the first note of uncertainty I'd heard in months. Where's dessert? I've prepared something more interesting than dessert. I remained standing, positioning myself where I could see everyone's reactions. Evidence. Dylan frowned at his folder. Evidence of what? Your conspiracy to steal my business assets and destroy our family. I opened Martha's folder first, spreading surveillance photographs across the table like a dealer revealing cards. Martha and Mike entering the Plaza Hotel, intimate dinners at romantic restaurants, shopping expeditions where she bought him expensive gifts. Martha's face went white. Where did you get these? Professional investigators. Very thorough ones. I turned to Dylan's folder. Your turn, son. Ruby reached across and opened Dylan's envelope herself, revealing photocopied legal documents, asset division plans, timeline schedules, financial projections showing his expected percentage from the conspiracy. How did you... Dylan's voice trailed off as understanding dawned. Ruby photographed these during her visit to your office last month. I smiled at my daughter. She's been quite helpful. Dylan turned to his wife in shock. Ruby, you knew about this? I knew about your greed. Ruby's voice carried steel I'd never heard before. Your willingness to betray my father while pretending to love our family. You don't understand the legal complexities. I understand you plan to steal everything he's worked for while lying to my face every single day. Martha had been examining the affair photographs with growing panic. Morris, I can explain about Mike. No need for explanations. I opened my second folder, revealing financial documentation. 3,000 monthly financing your affair. Hotel bills, restaurant charges, expensive gifts for your boy toy, all funded by my business success. It's not what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like. A conspiracy between my wife and son-in-law to destroy my life and steal my assets. Ruby stood abruptly, facing Dylan with fury I'd never seen from my typically gentle daughter. How could you do this? I trusted you completely. Ruby, please, if you'd just listen. Listen to more lies? She laughed bitterly. I've heard enough lies to last a lifetime. Dylan reached for her hand. I love you. Ruby slapped him, hard. The sound echoed through the dining room like a gunshot. Don't you dare talk about love while planning to rob my father. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. Dylan stumbled after her, calling her name desperately. The front door slammed. Car engines started in the driveway. Martha and I sat alone in the destroyed dining room, surveillance photographs scattered between the remains of our celebration dinner. Morris, she whispered, what happens now? I began collecting the evidence folders methodically. Now you discover what happens when you betray someone who actually knows how to plan ahead. Martha stared at the photographs spread across our dining table, like evidence from a crime scene. Her hands trembled as she reached for her wine glass, then thought better of it. Morris, honey, I can explain everything. Her voice cracked with desperation. This isn't what you think it is. I moved to the window, putting distance between us. Outside, the street looked normal. Suburban houses with warm lights, families living honest lives. Martha, I've seen enough. Photographs don't lie. But I love you, she stood, reaching toward me. Dylan manipulated me. He convinced me you were planning to leave me with nothing. Dylan manipulated you into having an affair with a fitness instructor. That's different. I was lonely, confused. You were greedy. I turned to face her fully. 3,000 a month on your boyfriend while planning to steal my business. Tears streamed down her cheeks. 37 years of marriage has to mean something. You can't just throw it all away. I didn't throw it away. You did. Every time you met Mike at a hotel. Every time you and Dylan discussed dividing my assets. Martha sank back onto the couch, surrounded by evidence of her betrayal. What do you want from me? What will it take to fix this? Nothing can fix 37 years of lies. They weren't all lies. I did love you once. Once? The word hung between us like a death sentence, but not enough to stay faithful, not enough to protect what we built together. She picked up one of the surveillance photos, herself laughing with Mike outside Cartier. How long have you known? Since February. Every hotel visit, every expensive lunch, every lie about yoga classes. Why didn't you confront me then? I collected the folders methodically, stacking evidence like a prosecutor preparing for trial. Because I needed to understand the full scope of your betrayal, Dylan's involvement, the legal conspiracy, everything. What happens now? Tomorrow I'm filing for divorce. My lawyer has everything prepared. Martha's face crumpled. Morris, please, give me another chance. I'll end it with Mike. We can go to counseling. The woman I married wouldn't have needed a second chance. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. This was a calculated plan to destroy my life and steal everything I've worked for. I headed toward the stairs, leaving her alone with the wreckage of our marriage. At the doorway, I paused. You should call a lawyer, Martha. You're going to need one. Upstairs, I could hear her sobbing in the dining room. 37 years of marriage, reduced to evidence folders and legal proceedings. But justice, I'd learned, wasn't always pretty. Sometimes it was just necessary. Monday morning found me in the elevator ascending to the 42nd floor of Williams & Associates. The mahogany briefcase beside me contained every piece of evidence that would secure my victory. Surveillance photographs, financial records, Dylan's conspiracy documents. Attorney James Williams stood as I entered his corner office. Diplomas lined the walls between floor-to-ceiling law books, creating an atmosphere of professional authority. Morris, I've reviewed the preliminary materials you sent. Williams gestured to a chair across from his massive desk. In 30 years of practice, I've rarely seen a case this clear-cut. I settled into the leather chair, opening my briefcase. How confident are you about the outcome? With evidence this comprehensive? Martha's infidelity is documented beyond any reasonable doubt. The conspiracy with Dylan adds another layer of betrayal that courts take very seriously. Williams spread the surveillance photographs across his desk like a poker hand. These alone guarantee you'll retain 80% of marital assets. The business, properties, investment accounts, all protected. What about Dylan? Will he face consequences for his unethical behavior? Absolutely. I'll be filing a complaint with the New York State Bar Association. An attorney conspiring against a family member while providing legal advice? Williams shook his head. That's grounds for disbarment? Relief flooded through me. Professional consequences for Dylan's betrayal felt almost as satisfying as the financial victory. Timeline-wise, how quickly can we proceed? Emergency filing this afternoon. Given the evidence quality and Dylan's professional misconduct, I expect expedited proceedings. Williams consulted his calendar. Court date within 2 weeks. Martha's hired representation? Patricia Knox. Competent, but limited by weak facts. She'll attempt emotional appeals, but adultery evidence is absolute in New York divorce law. I watched Williams organize documents with methodical precision. My daughter Ruby has agreed to provide testimony about Dylan's conspiracy. Excellent. Family testimony supporting documentation creates an unbreakable case. Williams looked up from the papers. Morris, I want you to understand something. This isn't just a legal victory, it's complete vindication. After what they put me through, vindication feels appropriate. Justice will be served thoroughly. Martha loses her financial security, Dylan loses his career, and you retain everything you've rightfully earned. Williams began preparing legal briefs, while I signed document after document. Divorce petitions, asset protection orders, evidence submission forms, each signature another step toward justice. One final question, I said as Williams scheduled our court appearance. Any chance Martha could somehow reverse this outcome? Williams smiled with professional confidence. With evidence this overwhelming? Impossible. Justice has already been decided. We're just making it official. Walking back to the elevator, briefcase now filled with legal documents instead of evidence folders, I felt the satisfaction of a plan perfectly executed. 2 weeks later, I entered the New York Family Court building with Williams at my side. Across the marble lobby, Martha stood with her attorney, looking smaller somehow, diminished by the weight of her exposed betrayals. Courtroom 314, Williams murmured, guiding me toward the elevators. Judge Thompson presides. Fair, methodical, unimpressed by emotional theatrics. Ruby waited in the gallery, offering me an encouraging smile. My daughter had chosen her father's side decisively, her loyalty unwavering despite the family destruction. The case of Burke versus Burke, the bailiff announced as court convened. Petition for divorce with asset division. Judge Thompson, a stern woman in her 60s, reviewed the case file with professional detachment. Counselors, please present opening statements. Williams rose with quiet authority. Your Honor, we have irrefutable documentation of adultery and conspiracy. The defendant conducted a prolonged affair while plotting with counsel to defraud the plaintiff of marital assets. Martha's lawyer, Patricia Knox, attempted damage control. Your Honor, this case involves complex emotional factors. My client seeks fair division considering 37 years of marriage. Evidence presentation, Judge Thompson directed. Williams displayed the surveillance photographs on courtroom monitors. Martha entering hotels with Mike Rodriguez, intimate restaurant meetings, shopping expeditions for expensive gifts. Each image struck like a judicial hammer. Financial documentation shows systematic deception, Williams continued, presenting credit card statements and spa receipts. 3,000 monthly financing defendant's affair, hidden from plaintiff for 6 months. Knox tried deflection. Your Honor, marital difficulties often lead to poor judgment. This evidence suggests calculated deception rather than poor judgment, Judge Thompson interrupted, studying Dylan's conspiracy documents. Attorney Grant's involvement adds professional misconduct to personal betrayal. Martha attempted to speak. Your Honor, I can explain. Mrs. Burke, you'll have opportunity for testimony if your counsel calls you as a witness. But Knox wisely declined. No testimony could overcome photographic evidence and financial documentation. Judge Thompson deliberated for exactly 12 minutes. Evidence clearly establishes adultery and conspiracy to defraud. Asset division will reflect defendant's betrayal of marital trust. The gavel fell with finality. 80-20 division favoring plaintiff. Business assets, properties, and retirement accounts remain with Mr. Burke. Defendant receives minimal spousal support. Williams squeezed my shoulder as the courtroom erupted in quiet satisfaction. Ruby approached from the gallery, tears of relief in her eyes. "Dad, you did it. Justice won." Outside the courthouse, Manhattan bustled with normal life, while my world had been permanently restored. Martha emerged separately, walking alone toward an uncertain future. 37 years, I murmured to Ruby as we descended the courthouse steps. "But the last 6 months showed who people really are," she replied. "And you, Dad, are exactly who I always believed you were." Together we walked into the afternoon sunlight, our family bond stronger for having survived betrayal and emerged victorious. Justice, I'd learned, was worth waiting for. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching. I was lying in the hospital after a heart attack, and my daughter called me at night. I'm getting